Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Here are all the headlines we are tracking this evening. TCS kicks off the earnings season on a positive note. Revenue growth is modest, but margins hit a 3-year high. Deal wins remain strong at over $13 billion. Management says the company is bottoming and should start seeing growth. TCS employee headcount declines for the third straight quarter. Management says attrition at 12.5% is within the comfort band and expects it to drop further. Promises campus hiring this quarter. India and Mauritius amend their double tax avoidance agreement in a bid to curb tax evasion. Introduces a new test to weed out transactions that are solely carried out for the purpose of tax benefits. Tax experts seek clarity on the potential impact on past investments and if they will be exempted from this test. Inflation eases to 4.8% in March, the slowest pace of growth in the last 10 months, but food prices remain elevated with vegetable inflation at 28%. Core inflation cools for the 10th straight month. Industrial production in February accelerates by 5.7%, the highest pace of growth in the last 4 months. A sharp sell-off on Dalal Street wipes out all the gains made this week. Sensex loses over 800 points, Nifty loses over 200 points. Market regulator SEBI likely to exempt few PSU banks and state-run companies from meeting the 25% minimum public shareholding norms by August. Sources say government does not have plans to sell shares in state-owned banks as things stand, and they will meet the 25% float threshold gradually. That's an exclusive. Elon Musk will be visiting India on the 21st and 22nd of April, likely to announce an investment plan worth $2 to $3 billion. Sources say Musk is also likely to announce plans to start satellite-based broadband services in India using Starlink, which is in final stages of getting a license. Iran threatens to attack Israel to avenge the death of 11 people, including 2 generals, in an Israeli strike on the Syrian consulate. US, UK, France, Germany warn Iran of consequences. US asks its employees in Israel to limit their travel. India advises citizens against traveling to Iran and Israel till further notice. United Kingdom tightens visa rules for job seekers in a bid to curb immigration. New rules require an individual to have a salary of at least £38,700, a nearly 50% increase from the previous minimum requirement of £26,200. Prime Minister Modi promises to hold assembly elections and restore statehood for Jammu and Kashmir soon. This comes 5 years after the abrogation of Article 370, when J&K was stripped of its statehood. Also on the program, BJP is banking on Noida and Greater Noida's upcoming infrastructure projects to win Gautam Budh Nagar Lok Sabha seat. Congress alleges the infrastructure projects are only on paper. Residents say construction work is causing regular traffic snarls. A special report coming up. Let's take a quick check of all the market action today. Weak global cues and developments surrounding the India-Mauritius tax treaty spooked sentiment on Dalal Street. Sensex lost nearly 800 points. The Nifty lost over 200 points. Mid-caps also declined in trade today. Sell-off wiped out all the gains made this week. The earnings season has kicked off and TCS has closed FY24 on a positive note. India's largest IT company saw its margins expand to the highest level in 3 years. Revenues were marginally below estimates, but deal wins were higher, crossing $13 billion. The company's employee headcount declined for the third straight quarter, but the management was not too worried about the rate of attrition. TCS is planning to make campus recruitments this quarter. Reema Tendulkar is here with the TCS Q4 report card.
Thanks so much for that. So revenue growth has been steady, lower than consensus expectations. The company has clocked in a revenue growth of 1.1% in constant currency terms on a sequential basis. This compares with estimates of 1.3%, but it's similar to the December quarter, which basically implies that there is no pickup, there is no recovery that we've seen in demand at least. But where the company has done very well is on margins. Margins positively surprising, EBIT margins at 26% at a 3-year high, improving by 100 basis points on a sequential basis. Deal wins for the company have also been very strong at $13.2 billion. This is a record high in terms of deal wins, and even for the full year, deal wins for the company are at all-time high levels. North America, the growth for the company once again has been led by the regional markets, which is basically India on account of the BSNL deal. But if you strip that out, their major market, North America, continues to remain under pressure. North America revenues have fallen on a year-on-year basis. Communication, BFSI, technology also on a year-on-year basis have recorded a decline in revenues. Headcount for the company continues to shrink. This is the third consecutive quarter where TCS's headcount has come down. In the current quarter, TCS's headcount is down by 1,700 employees, and so that perhaps also explains the reason why the margins of the company have been inching up. Attrition too has fallen further, 12.5% in the March quarter, which compares with 80 basis points. So in a nutshell, miss on the revenue, slight miss on the revenues, a beat on the margins, very strong deal wins, and the headcount of the company continues to moderate.
We believe that we are bottoming out. I don't want to call it like next quarter would be a blowout quarter or anything, but we should start seeing growth soon, because with a healthy pipeline for the last few quarters, we should start seeing growth.
We are at 12.5%, it's in our comfort band, but I still expect around, potentially 30 to 50 basis points drop going forward. On the hiring projection, we, like I said, every year we have training projections. We don't give projections for experienced hires. Training projections will be similar to what we have been doing in the previous years. We already have gone to priority colleges and made offers to them.
In an attempt to plug tax evasion, India and Mauritius have amended the double taxation avoidance agreement. The change includes a new principal purpose test. This test is aimed at establishing if tax benefit was the primary purpose of any transaction or arrangement. If yes, tax benefits under the treaty will not be applicable for those transactions. The treaty was last amended in May 2016, giving the Indian government the right to tax capital gains arising from sale or transfer of shares of an Indian company starting 1st April 2017. So what changes with this latest amendment? Surbhi Upadhyay is here to explain more.
Well, the FPI Mauritius tax ghost seems to be coming back with this latest amendment of the Indo-Mauritius Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement. As you mentioned, this amendment will now incorporate a PPT, a principal purpose test in the treaty. And by its own, this is not sort of an out of the blue thing. This is part of international tax protocol. A lot of countries are incorporating this principal purpose test in their bilateral treaties. So what's the issue here with India? Well, the issue is all about grandfathering. If you dial back to May 2016, when the first amendment to the treaty happened, that amendment made it very, very clear that investments that are coming into India from Mauritius up till 31st of March 2017, they will remain grandfathered. And that is the big issue. Will this latest amendment now also subject those investments to taxation? The view seems to be, at least the view that the government seems to be taking, is that taxability happens when there is sale of shares. So if the sale of shares is happening after the implementation of the latest amendment, then perhaps there could be taxability. At least there will be applicability of this PPT. Now, we've been speaking to a lot of tax experts, and they say that if indeed this is the interpretation, if grandfathering is taken away, then that could be a bit of a blow for India, because India is seen to be a stable tax regime, and undoing something that was promised several years in the past will not be taken too well by foreign investors. I'd just like to end by talking about the importance of Mauritius as a destination when it comes to FDI or FPI flows. Ever since the first amendment in 2016, the flows coming into India from Mauritius have actually diminished quite a bit. On the FDI side, from a figure of over 86,000 crores, the numbers have come down to less than 50,000 crores now. On the FPI side, which is equity and debt capital markets put together, the numbers from Mauritius are sort of still within the ballpark of 4 lakh crores. But other jurisdictions, Singapore, for example, they have become very, very big sort of destinations which are bringing in the foreign capital. Investments coming in from Singapore have trebled in the same period, 2017 up till FY23. But having said that, Mauritius is still a very important destination. And if all investments are no longer grandfathered, that could really be ruffling feathers in the investor community.
And sources have told CNBC-TV18 that government has no plans to conduct this new principal purpose test retrospectively. However, sources added that this test will be applicable to investments where a taxable event occurs after this new protocol takes effect. Timsy Jepuria is here to explain this. Timsy, what is the government saying on the new amendment?
Well, that's right. What sources are telling CNBC-TV18 is that the taxability is not retrospective. It is only post the date of the treaty. The provisions will apply to the past investments where taxable event is post the effective date. Also, sources say that the bilateral agreement was meant to give effect to the anti-treaty abuse provisions. And after this, now each country will complete the internal protocol, and India too will do all of this, and India will inform Mauritius and notify the protocol. Just for the benefit of our viewers, the confusion is because the amendment is silent on the treatment of transactions before April 2017 that were grandfathered. So, to this, the sources say that the government is cognizant of these queries that which are being raised right now. But it is important to note that the protocol is yet to be ratified and notified. Thus, when the protocol comes into force, as and when the notification is made, clarifications addressing these queries will be issued by the government. That's what sources are saying. Thus, they say that the government will soothe the nerves before the notification is issued so that there is absolute clarity for the industry on these provisions. So let's wait as and when the government notifies the entire provisions of the treaty. Only then this clarity will emerge, and government says that as of now these queries are not warranted also. They want the industry to first wait, see the notification, see what is there in black and white, and then raise questions if required.
And Vodafone Idea is all set to put its much-awaited fundraising plan in action. The cash-strapped telecom company will launch a follow-on public offer worth 18,000 crore rupees. The offer will open for subscription on 18th April and close on the 22nd of April. The company has fixed a price band of 10 to 11 rupees per share. Last week, Vodafone Idea promoter, the Aditya Birla Group, pumped over 2,000 crore rupees into the company through a preferential share issue. Shares of Bharti Hexacom made a strong Dalal Street debut, listing with a 32% premium over its IPO price. The IPO was subscribed nearly 30 times at close on the back of a strong interest from qualified institutional buyers. The 4,300 crore IPO of Bharti Airtel subsidiary is India's biggest public issue in a year. Inflation has eased to 4.85% in March, the slowest pace of growth in the last 10 months. But food prices remain elevated, with vegetable inflation at 28%. Meanwhile, industrial production in February accelerated by 5.7%. This is the highest pace of growth in the last 4 months. Ritu Singh is standing by with the latest.
Well, retail inflation has eased to a 9-month low at 4.85% in March, which is bang in line with what the CNBC-TV18 poll had estimated. Now, this compares with 5.09% CPI we got in February, and it's the lowest print that we've had since June of 2023. Now, some easing in momentum across food, the core items, and some base effect helped inflation come down month on month as expected. Core inflation, which is inflation without food and fuel, that also continued to ease along expected lines at 3.3% for the month of March. Now, food inflation is where the spot of bother has been, and inflation there has come down marginally over the previous month, but it still remains above 7%. So food and beverages inflation came in at 7.68%, and the consumer food price index, That stood at 8.52% in March. Vegetable inflation lower month on month, but still remaining quite high. Cereal prices also went up for the month of March. We saw continued deflation, on the other hand, in fuel and light, in line with the reduction in LPG prices. Housing inflation also coming down in March. Food there, RBI has continued to, point out risks. They're going to be watchful of what happens with the heat waves, the ongoing uptrend in crude prices that we've been seeing. So all that could shape up how food inflation goes in the near term. As for IIP, for the month of February, it came in at 5.7% compared to 3.8% in January. And this is the strongest figure that we've had in 4 months, largely on the back of the strong growth in mining. But apart from that, all of the key sectors, whether that was electricity, manufacturing, mining, they recorded higher growth rates in February compared to the previous month. In the use-based categories, the data was quite mixed, ranging from a contraction of 3.8% in consumer non-durables and a double-digit expansion of 12.3% in consumer durables that we got for the month of February.
Right. Thank you very much, Ritu Singh, for joining us with that important update on the state of the economy. And we are speaking about the inflation rate dipping to a 10-month low, IIP at a 4-month high. Moving on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive, Tesla CEO Elon Musk will visit India on the 21st of April and the 22nd of April. Sources say that Musk will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other government officials. Sources also saying that Tesla could announce an investment plan of $2 to $3 billion. SpaceX Starlink could also be on the agenda, with sources saying that regulatory approvals are now in the final stages. Moving on, Sun Pharma was Nifty's top loser in trade today after its Dadar unit received in an official action indicated status from the US FDA after an inspection. This means that the facility is considered to be unacceptable state of compliance with regards to current good manufacturing practices. The regulator conducted inspection from 4th to the 15th of December last year and issued 6 observations to the plant. Sun Pharma has said that it will work with the regulator to achieve full compliance. On to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive now. Market regulator SEBI is likely to grant exemption to some public sector entities to meet the 25% minimum shareholding norm by August. Sources say that PSU Banks are expected to meet the public shareholding norms gradually. Sapna Das is here with the latest.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. We are given to understand very clearly that some further extension in the exemptions that are already in place for certain public sector banks and certain CPSEs, that's likely to be extended beyond August 2024. And I think the rationale here is pretty much clear. Many of the PSBs, at least 4 of them, the government shareholding is above 90%. You cannot just bring it down in a jiffy by August 2024 to the 75% norm. Similarly, for certain other CPSEs, a few of them, the government shareholding is substantial, at least beyond that MPS of 25% in the sense public shareholding, but GOI shareholding is above 75%. So keeping all of this in mind, it's likely that yet another extension is on the cards. Of course, there will be a consultation between the government and SEBI before that call is taken. That's one. The second aspect that we need to keep in mind also is the fact that probably at this stage there is no plan on part of the public sector banks to actually do any direct share sales, so to speak. PSBs have been raising money amply from the markets via the QIP route, and through that some of the government shareholding has also been coming down naturally. So probably the government here is trying to follow an approach of gradualism or gradual, gradually bringing down government stakeholding, not via direct sale of shares, but via maybe even the QIP route. Plus, banks should also be ready to raise that kind of money at a certain cost. They should be needing all that money. So put all of this together and another extension is on the cards, and we'll have to just wait and watch and see post-elections what is the mood in the government. Will this be revisited at some point in time? Well, that's something that we'll have to wait and watch and see, but as of now, extension definitely on the cards as far as exemption from the MPS norms are concerned.
All right. Thanks, Sapna, for joining us with that important update. The Commerce Ministry is likely to seek a further extension of the interest equalization scheme. Sources say this applies to both pre-shipment, post-shipment export credit in rupees for another 5 years. Sources also adding that an evaluation of the scheme is underway and any further decision will hinge on this. The scheme is set to end on 30th June this year. India's growing capex spending has fueled offshore loan demand. Offshore financing in Indian companies saw a sharp rise in FY24 till the month of February as compared to last year. Funds raised through external commercial borrowing route increased by 8% in value to more than $41 billion. According to RBI, ECB stood at over $22 billion during the same period of FY23. Coming up on India Business Hour, BJP is banking on Noida and Greater Noida's upcoming infrastructure projects to win Gautam Nagar Lok Sabha seat. Congress alleges the infrastructure projects are only on paper. Special report in just a bit. And you can also catch all CNBC-TV18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. You are watching India Business Hour. Here's a quick look at all the international headlines we have been tracking. Iran has threatened to attack Israel after an attack on an Iranian consular building in Syria earlier this month. This had killed several people, including 2 Iranian generals. Tehran has blamed Israel for the attack. Responding to Iran's warning, Israel said it will retaliate directly to any attack from the country. The US is attempting to deter Iran from carrying out retaliatory strikes. India has advised its citizens not to travel to Israel and Iran due to rising tensions.
What we have made very clear, obviously we've seen the threats coming from Iran, and so we have made ourselves very clear where we stand in supporting Israel's security. That is ironclad. That does not change. I'm just not going to get into details about our operational procedures from here.
US President Joe Biden has vowed to defend Philippines from any attack in the South China Sea. This as President Biden hosted the Philippine President and Japanese Prime Minister for a trilateral meeting at the White House. He said US defense commitment to Japan and Philippines are ironclad.
And I want to be clear, the United States defense commitments to Japan and to the Philippines are ironclad. They're ironclad. As I've said before, any attack on Philippine aircraft, vessels, or armed forces in the South China Sea would invoke our Mutual Defense Treaty.
On to election news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a rally in J&K's Udhampur, which goes to polls next Friday. Prime Minister Modi promises to hold assembly elections and restore statehood for J&K soon. This comes 5 years after the abrogation of Article 370, when J&K was stripped of its statehood.
वो समय दूर नहीं जब जम्मू कश्मीर में भी विधानसभा के चुनाव होंगे। जम्मू कश्मीर को वापस राज्य का दर्जा मिलेगा। आप अपने विधायक, अपने मंत्रियों से अपने सपने साझा कर सकेंगे। हर वर्ग की समस्याओं का तेजी से समाधान होगा।
An overwhelming 79% of Indians support religious pluralism and believe India is a country for all religions. That's a key finding of a pre-poll survey conducted by the Center for Study of Developing Societies. The survey polled over 10,000 voters at random about their opinions on key election issues. The foremost concerns for voters are rising prices and unemployment. On unemployment, 62% of respondents indicated that securing jobs has become increasingly challenging. Of this, 27% said that unemployment is an important issue for the upcoming elections. When it comes to corruption, 55% of respondents said that it has risen in the last 5 years, while 19% said that corruption has declined. Uttar Pradesh's Gautam Budh Nagar constituency has been pitched as a shining example of infrastructure developments with ambitious projects like an international airport, an Olympic city and an international film city. Has this infra boom really taken off in Gautam Budh Nagar, and will it become an election issue? Shivani Bazaz finds out in this special report.
In the last few years, Uttar Pradesh's Gautam Budh Nagar has become the poster boy for India's infrastructure development. The state is poised to unveil Asia's largest airport in Jewar and has ambitious plans for a world-class Olympic city in Yamuna Expressway area, alongside an international film city and a heritage corridor connecting all these developments to the iconic Taj Mahal and Vrindavan. While these projects remain in the planning stages, the ruling party is expected to leverage them for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections.
The upcoming Jewar International Airport is clearly at the center of most of the infrastructure development, be it building a small city around the airport or connecting it to important sites. Work is on in full swing. Yamuna Expressway Industrial Development Authority officials tell CNBC-TV18 that talks are on to decide on a new rail line connecting Jewar Airport to the IGI International Airport in Delhi. Apart from that, a 72-kilometer Rapid-X-Cum metro route is in the making from Ghaziabad RRTS to Jewar International Airport. However, the ruling party is accused of ignoring the convenience of people of Gautam Budh Nagar. Noida, Greater Noida and Yamuna Expressway areas are majorly inhabited by flat dwellers, and the delay in construction of many properties is a big issue. The lack of traffic management in areas like Noida Extension raise issues of improper planning in the majorly urban constituency of Gautam Budh Nagar.
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की आप बात कर रहे हैं, आप बताइए ना कि आपने डिलीवर क्या किया है। जेवर एयरपोर्ट की हम लोग बात करते हैं, 3 चरणों में काम होना है। पहले चरण में अभी 50% काम भी पूरा नहीं हुआ है, जबकि ये इनका जो प्रोजेक्ट है ये पिछली सरकार का था। आप फ्लैट बायर्स की समस्या किसी से छुपी नहीं है। आप इस शहर में किसी भी तबके से बात करेंगे तो वो एक तो वादा खिलाफी की बात करेगा जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने उसके साथ की है, और दूसरा जो त्रस्त है, जो यहाँ की व्यवस्था से त्रस्त है, उसके बारे में बात करेगा। योगी जी की दूसरी सरकार है, अभी मेट्रो का एक पुल भी नोएडा एक्सटेंशन के लिए बना हो तो बताइए। बार बार हम सिर्फ ये सुनते हैं कि आज 1000 करोड़ इसके लिए सैंक्शन हुआ है, 2000 करोड़ हुआ है। ये सिर्फ जनता को बहकाने वाली बातें हैं।
सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम यहाँ ट्रैफिक की है। सुबह आते हैं कॉलेज के टाइम पे, तब भी ट्रैफिक रहता है, और आते वक्त भी बहुत होता है। 1.5-2 घंटे लग जाते हैं ग्रेटर नोएडा जाने में।
New parts of Noida that are getting built now, especially near Patla Chowk, which is Greater Noida West, a lot of development is coming up. That whole roundabout tends to get a lot congested during the peak hours in the morning as well as evening. So that is something which maybe somebody will have to look into, maybe provide some alternate routes to that area.
The BJP, however, says that the infrastructure has been given a big push under the current government, and what Bangalore has done for Karnataka's economy, Gautam Budh Nagar can do for the economy of Uttar Pradesh. The party spokesperson agrees that traffic, electricity and delay in construction are important issues.
जब फास्ट ट्रैक अर्बन डेवलपमेंट होता है तो some problems arise out of it. Sanitation is a problem because of overload of the sewage and other things. Then there are problem about the infrastructure on the power generation transmission also there. Then there is a problem of public transport in various areas. Even in Noida there are problems about parking. So the first thing on the development of any area or any city is you identify and accept that problems. We have done lot from almost 6 years in Uttar Pradesh.
With events like Bharat Moto GP and Uttar Pradesh Investor Summit happening in Gautam Budh Nagar, the state government is pitching the area as the one-stop destination for global investment and infra development. But will this really become an election issue has to be seen. In Noida, with Vijay Pradeep Kumar, this is Shivani Bazaz for CNBC-TV18.